When does power look fragile? That was the question hanging in the air the night Representative Jasmine Crockett confronted President Trump during a late-night oversight hearing. It was after 10 p.m. in Washington. Most Americans were winding down for the night, televisions murmuring in the background, phones half-charged on coffee tables. No one expected political theater. No one expected a moment that would seize the country's attention in seconds. Then Crockett leaned toward her microphone, her voice calm but cutting. "Mr. President, can you explain why sealed documents indicate a DNA link between you and a woman the public has never heard of?" The room froze. Conversations died mid-whisper. Reporters stopped writing. Camera operators instinctively tightened their shots. All eyes shifted to Trump. His expression changed in flashes, confusion, irritation, then something more unsettled. He gripped the microphone as if bracing himself. "That's nonsense, absolute nonsense," he shot back. "This is ridiculous. Stop this. Cut it out." His tone was forceful, but there was an edge beneath it. Crockett didn't match his volume. She didn't need to. She held his gaze, unblinking, composed. The steadiness of her posture did more than any raised voice could have. Across the country, viewers who had been drifting toward sleep suddenly sat upright. Newsrooms cut back to the live feed. Social media feeds erupted. Inside the chamber, tension spread like a current. Paper shuffled, staffers exchanged urgent glances. Even security personnel seemed more alert. Crockett continued evenly, clarifying that the documents in question were sealed federal files, not rumor, not speculation. "The American people deserve to know," she said. "Has this information ever been disclosed to national security officials?" The phrasing mattered. It was deliberate, procedural, almost clinical. Trump responded sharply, rejecting the premise and dismissing the line of questioning as personal and inappropriate. "We're not doing this," he said. "We're not going to sit here and talk about personal nonsense. Somebody cut the cameras." The chairman attempted to restore order, but the moment had already escaped containment. Reporters in the back stood, phones raised. Staff members moved quickly between seats, passing notes. The atmosphere felt less like a routine hearing and more like an inflection point. Crockett remained still, her expression controlled, projecting a message without theatrics. Accountability applies to everyone. Beyond the chamber walls, screens in homes, bars, and cafes replayed the exchange in real time. Commentators dissected tone, posture, and phrasing. Supporters and critics alike reacted instantly, each seeing confirmation of what they already believed. A 47-second clip circulated widely, capturing the confrontation in its rawest form. Crockett eventually leaned back and delivered a closing line that resonated beyond the hearing room. "No one here is above accountability, Mr. President, not even you." Whether viewers saw courage, provocation, or political strategy depended on where they stood, but few could deny the intensity of the moment. As whispers continued on the House floor and lawmakers leaned toward one another in hushed conversation, it was clear the exchange would not end when the gavel fell. The silence that followed wasn't resolution, it was anticipation. Whatever the truth behind the allegation, the confrontation had transformed an ordinary hearing into a national spectacle, and the political consequences were only beginning to unfold. On the Republican side of the chamber, aides hurried behind their members, slipping folded notes into waiting hands. Faces tightened, whispers overlapped. The tension wasn't subtle anymore, it was visible, urgent. Hundreds of miles away in a bar in Pittsburgh, the jukebox volume dropped as someone grabbed the remote and turned up the television. Patrons clustered near the screen, beers forgotten on the counter. "Look at him," a construction worker muttered, shaking his head. "He's begging them to shut the cameras off." His friend crossed his arms. "He's never done that before. That's fear. You can't fake that." Across the country, the moment ignited online. A 47-second clip of the exchange spread faster than the networks could package it. On TikTok, it was captioned, "The moment he asked to cut the cameras." Within minutes, views surged into the hundreds of thousands. On X, hashtags multiplied, trending within the hour. Group chats buzzed, phones lit up with messages. "Turn on the news, you won't believe this." In a modest home outside Tulsa, a retired Navy veteran leaned forward in his recliner, eyes fixed on the screen. If there's something undisclosed, anything that can be leveraged, that's serious, he said quietly to his wife. That's not gossip, that's vulnerability. In Detroit, a mother toggled between her phone and her daughter's homework, murmuring, "She's bold. I've never seen anyone push him like that." In rural Montana, a family watched a buffering live stream at their kitchen table. "I've never seen him this rattled," the father said under his breath. The contrast was stark. Crockett's measured, methodical tone against Trump's increasingly forceful demands. Viewers weren't just watching, they were interpreting, choosing sides in real time. In Times Square, the live broadcast flickered across a massive digital screen. Tourists stopped mid-stride, phones lifted. "He's actually asking to cut the feed," someone said into their camera, disbelief in their voice. Cable networks pivoted instantly. One commentator dismissed the exchange as a political smear. His co-host pushed back. "If it's baseless, why demand the cameras go dark?" In Atlanta, an anchor leaned toward the desk. "We cannot verify the claims referenced tonight, but what we can confirm is the intensity of the president's reaction, and that reaction is what millions are responding to." The country was anything but unified. Some viewers called it reckless and inappropriate. Others called it overdue accountability. Many simply sat stunned, unsure what to believe. But conversations spread like wildfire, state to state, screen to screen. The allegation, true or not, had detonated in the public square. Back inside the chamber, the atmosphere felt less like governance and more like theater. The camera's red lights glowed steadily, unblinking. Trump struck the table with his palm, voice rising. "This is a disgrace. I want those cameras off, now." His words echoed against marble and microphones, but the broadcast continued uninterrupted. Crockett remained composed. She tilted her head slightly before leaning toward the mic. "Mr. President, transparency is not humiliation," she said evenly. "If there are questions that affect public trust, they belong in the open." He pointed toward her, frustration evident. "You're trying to tear me down in front of the world." She answered without raising her voice. "No, sir. The questions are what they are." A murmur swept through the chamber. Reporters paused mid-typing. Trump's response came faster now, overlapping itself. Denials, dismissals, accusations of ambush. The more he spoke, the less controlled it seemed. Viewers at home analyzed every gesture, every shift in tone. Crockett rested her hand on a closed folder before her. "If the documents are inaccurate," she said, "then that can be established through proper channels. But asking for darkness instead of clarification raises more questions than it resolves." Trump fired back that the matter was personal, that it involved family, that it crossed a line. The word hung in the air, family, heavy and unguarded. And in that charged pause, the hearing reached a new inflection point, not because facts had been confirmed, not because conclusions had been reached, but because the clash had exposed something deeper, a battle not just over documents, but over narrative, control, and public trust. The gallery reacted first, sharp gasps, pens scratching furiously on notepads, a few stunned faces frozen in place. When the word family slipped into the president's defense, Crockett moved quickly, her tone tightening just a degree. "Your family?" she asked evenly. "Then you're acknowledging there's something here." Trump tried to walk it back. "No, that's not what I said. Don't twist my words. Don't twist them." But the hesitation had already landed. The pause, the stumble, the shift in cadence, cameras captured it all. Around the country, viewers leaned closer to their screens. In Tampa, a grandmother covered her mouth. "He said family," she whispered. In an Oklahoma diner, a waitress slowed mid-step, coffee pot hovering over a mug. "He's losing control," she murmured. Back inside the chamber, Trump gripped the microphone, his voice no longer commanding but strained. "Cut the cameras. This doesn't belong in public." The plea hung in the air, less defiant than before, edged with urgency. Crockett didn't blink. "Mr. President, transparency is not humiliation," she said measuredly. "If there are questions that affect public trust, they belong in the open." He pointed toward her, frustration evident. "You're trying to tear me down in front of the world." She answered without raising her voice. "No, sir. The questions are what they are." A murmur swept through the chamber. Reporters paused mid-typing. Trump's response came faster now, overlapping itself. Denials, dismissals, accusations of ambush. The more he spoke, the less controlled it seemed. Viewers at home analyzed every gesture, every shift in tone. Crockett rested her hand on a closed folder before her. If the documents are inaccurate, she said, then that can be established through proper channels, but asking for darkness instead of clarification raises more questions than it resolves. Trump fired back that the matter was personal, that it involved family, that it crossed a line. The word hung in the air, family, heavy and unguarded. And in that charged pause, the hearing reached a new inflection point. Not because facts had been confirmed, not because conclusions had been reached, but because the clash had exposed something deeper, a battle not just over documents, but over narrative, control, and public trust. The gallery reacted first, sharp gasps, pens scratching furiously on notepads, a few stunned faces frozen in place. When the word family slipped into the president's defense, Crockett moved quickly, her tone tightening just a degree. "Your family?" she asked.